welcome to Mama They Conversations. I'm Regan Barnes, and I am the co-founder of Mama They, and I am so excited to have one of our former volunteers with us today, Laura Breksa. Mama They has been really blessed with lots of great volunteers, and out of those, I would even put Laura up at the tippy top. She has dedicated so much of her time, her expertise, her perspective to Mama Eight, and it's just wonderful. And so having her to be here on the podcast is fantastic, to share, again, all of those insights and perspectives that she's gathered up over the years. She has 4 grown children, and also a daughter-in-law, and you have the delightful opportunity to be a grandmother too. That's really awesome. And are they local to you there in California?
Yes, my grandchildren are in California. Yes.
Wonderful. And I have some information here to share about how you just dove right into full-time motherhood at age 26. And I love that concept of diving continues as you described that sometimes it really felt like it was just over your head and it was disorienting and like you were drowning and you would just need, looking up for light. And then of course you mentioned in this that you wrote up for me, but other times it just felt like you were floating right along and that you would let the current take you where it may. And I love metaphors like that, and I can absolutely relate with my experiences as well with motherhood. That there's often battle rapids that you would have to go along and fight against and hold on to makeshift rafts of Lego, popsicle sticks, and glitter glue. So that creates just a beautiful image in our heads of all the paraphernalia of motherhood, right? The Legos and popsicles and glitter glue. And then you mentioned that at times your swimming strokes and currents were in sync, and I'm sure that those are nice things to think back on. Now that those kids are all grown, though, you're pursuing some of your own goals. Well, tell us a little bit about what you're doing on a personal level to grow and establish yourself.
Well, my current pursuits are a blog that I'm writing on the Beatitudes and testifying of Christ. I am writing a book that's a guide for women that is based on the Beatitudes. I am launching a podcast of my own called Know It, Live It, insightful conversations of people who walk the talk. That's going to broadcast, hit the podcast universe or space. I'm not sure the launching term, but I call it hit the podcast space in September. And I'm developing classes or presentations based on the teachings of the Beatitudes. One is called Mercy Among Mothers. Another I'm developing is a panel of mental health professionals that will teach about estranged family members that begun under the concept of mourning. And another one is actually more of a fun craft class that will be like smash scripture journals. So based on the concepts and principles taught by the Beatitudes. So a blogger, author, podcaster, and presenter.
Well, awesome. I'm so glad to have you here. And I'll give a little shout out. So this is thinking in advance, but Mama Bay is in the midst of planning our second mothering convention at the end of October. And we have invited Laura to come and be a speaker with us there. So people can be thinking ahead about getting to meet you at that juncture. So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and get started thinking about your past as a mother and how it has influenced you even in your current life, even though your children are grown. And what maybe as you share those hindsight, it will bless the lives of moms who are in the midst of motherhood right now, because you've got that benefit of being able to think a little bit, more clearly. Sometimes we're in the midst of motherhood, we're in the trenches, and it's hard for us to even find time to take a deep breath and figure out what's going on. So if you wouldn't mind just sharing a bit about some of the challenges that you have faced as a mom, and how you managed with those challenges.
Well, thank you, Regan. I know you have a span of age of children as well. And you can look back on days when they were younger. I missed them when they were younger. I find myself in grocery stores, I'm shopping, and I'm looking for them when they were 6. And they're no longer 6. And I have to remind myself, when I want to tell my 31-year-old to be careful on her motorcycle and worry about her, that it's not like she's on a bike. And I can't tell her that anymore. She's a grown woman. So you're never really fully retired from being a mom. They still call you, they still need you. Thankfully, gratefully, I want them to call me and talk to me. So you're not like ending motherhood, but there's more boundaries. But there is no learning curve in motherhood. You don't get moments back. But what I wished I would have known is that it's okay to fail. It's okay to say sorry more often. I would say sorry, but to relax a little bit more, to give yourself more grace, to be a little bit more merciful to yourself. Because when you are too hard on yourself, then you end up being too hard on your kids, because you take their behavior as a reflection of you. And that's not fair to them at all. It's not a fair cycle, because their behavior doesn't necessarily reflect directly on you, even though society makes it seem like it does. Who do you blame? You hear of a child misbehaving, you blame the mother. I don't care how advanced or liberated we become. I think that's what it's going to continue to be. At least that's how I felt. Certainly in the Christian community with women, it comes back to the mom. Maybe I'm outdated. Maybe that's the years I raised my children. I don't know if that's currently the case. Regan, you might need to tell me. Is that still currently the case? I might be out of touch.
Oh, yeah, and it's been that way, I think, since I like to blame Sigmund Freud. I think that he was the one who started tagging it on the parents, that if the kids were misbehaving, it has something to do with how they were raised.
Yeah, and that's not true. I have a quote here from Neil Maxwell that he says, often our deliberate best is less effectual because someone else's worst. And that's true with your kids. So I wish I would have had more mercy for myself and saw my children's behavior a little bit more separate than on my value as a person. Because again, mother has no learning curve. And I think now that I get older, I have more tolerance, and it's okay to fail. It's okay to ask for feedback. I wished I would have asked for more help when I felt overwhelmed, when I felt that I was over my head, like I described in my little bio, looking upward toward the light. I wish I would have asked for a life raft. I wish I'd called for help. And that would have been a better way to handle challenges than maybe losing my temper as often as I did. I'll just admit it to the universe, because that's just what happened. I lost my temper way too many times.
Right.
And that's, I guess, my biggest thing is have mercy for yourself. You're going to repeat patterns that you had. You're going to have to forgive your mother. You're going to have to forgive generations maybe of mothering patterns, and you're going to do better tomorrow. You're going to do better the next day, and you just need to learn. Your children will forgive you, and they may forget more. And you know what? They may remember one moment as having happened more often than it did, even the good moments. And I will tell you something else as a secret that is actually neuroscience. Do you want to know a secret, Reagan?
Oh, yeah.
The secret is, it's not really a secret, but the secret is your children will remember moments where they were corrected more harshly and more vividly than they remember moments of being held and swaddled and loved, because they didn't need to remember those. They needed to remember the danger times. That's how we're wired. So just putting out there.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And it does help sometimes to know that neuroscience proves it right, you know? That's great. Do you feel like there are certain lessons you learned through the process of motherhood that you continue to carry with you because of how they have shaped you as a person, and you know that make you a better person?
I couldn't hear your question. I'm sorry.
Oh, that okay. I'll try to get closer to the microphone. Um, are you able to hear me now?
I am.
Great. Are there certain lessons that you learned through the process of motherhood or from raising your children, that you continue to carry with you because of how they shaped you as a person and made you into a better person?
Yes, my children are very bold and very strong and have accomplished a lot on their own, setting their own goals. And I think that has taught me a lot. Their own personalities. I want to be like my children when I grow up.
I love that.
So I've carried that with me. I carried the lessons they've taught me and the process of their tenacity and watching them grow and just sitting back a little bit, letting them figure out problems.
Yeah,
And that's helped reflect on me that I can figure out problems. Yeah.
awesome. How about share a little bit about balancing the needs of your children, while also trying to meet your own needs. How did you handle that over the years?
My husband was in the Navy Reserves. He still is. So he would be gone often. I have to say that the advertisements for the reserves where you're gone 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks during the year is a lie. They are gone more often. He was gone a lot. So I had these 4 children. My oldest was not quite 10 when the youngest was born. We lived away from family. So it was me with the kids. And again, I said I didn't ask for help as much as I should have. Me with the kids, my husband gone. So the also that self-care term did not exist. My youngest is 21. Self-care, not a term. So I was alone with these kids a lot. We homeschooled at least one kid for many years. I think I counted the years and I must have wanted to block out that number. So that idea of balancing my own needs was an unfamiliar term. And I don't think I thought about it much, actually. Reagan, I wasn't very good at it. I did complete a master's with 4 kids.
Wow.
I took one class a night for 10 years. No, 5 years, excuse me. It took me 5 years. One class, a 10-week term. So I was able to do that. I served in heavy responsibilities in my church, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I had a lot of creative outlets with my church callings. So that was very exciting for me. I like to do a lot of creative things. Sewed a lot of costumes for Halloween.
Fun.
That was very creative. That was a need that was met.
I like that.
So I think through mothering, through the whole job of mothering, that employment as a mother, I was able to meet my needs because I made the most of those opportunities that came around, the creativity, the crafts, coming up with lesson plans, going on adventures with them. My favorite part of mothering, putting water and snacks in the car in the afternoon when the other kids were off of field trips.
Yeah.
The buses would go home. Science museums were like open. Little kids were home for a nap. School buses were gone. We could go, we could drive. I live in a beautiful place, drive and see things. So that was meeting my own needs, but through mothering.
Yeah, and that's a really important thing is to realize you don't have to have two separate circles of my needs versus children's needs. but rather those circles can kind of merge together. And that's great. And it does require a certain perspective to realize here I am in the midst of mothering. However, I can choose for those mothering duties or privileges to count as self-care. Or I love nature. So if I'm going to take my kids on a hike, that'll serve my purposes too, or whatever it is like that. And I like what you brought up about creativity, that you enjoy crafting. And so the chance to sew costumes at Halloween, you didn't see that as a motherly burden, but instead as a opportunity to provide that need for your children of the costumes, but also to provide your own need of being creative. So that's
You want to take a hike in the woods? You take your kids.
Yep.
You want to go play with bubbles or Play-Doh? You got kids as an excuse sometimes for some of the things you want to do. It goes both ways.
That's awesome.
Motherhood doesn't stop your personal growth. You can grow through motherhood.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes, though, we are required to make sacrifices as moms. But something about a sacrifice doesn't get talked about as much is that it ends up in a result that's better than whatever it is that we gave up. I'm afraid sometimes we hear the word sacrifice and all we think about is what we're giving up, the part that hurts, that we lose. And yet the reason it qualifies as a sacrifice instead of just a loss is because of that end result, that there will be things that come out of it that are rewards, essentially. Do you feel like you have anything from your background that kind of fits along those lines of yes, it was a sacrifice, and yet ultimately it ended up in something better for you?
It's such a fascinating question, having just my youngest child leave not too long ago, because then it was like, oh, what do I do now? Because I forgot to plan for after my children left. And I decided to become a mother when I was 13. And I decided to not do anything I didn't want them to do. And then I decided to do things I wanted them to do. So I went on a mission for my church. I got my bachelor's. I wanted my children to have no excuse not to go on a mission. I wanted them to go, I wanted them to have a return missionary mother. I wanted them to have an educated mother. Again, I didn't do things I didn't want them to do. I planned on getting married when I got married. I planned on being a mom. Okay, planned all that, but didn't plan for afterwards. Please do that if you have young children. So there I was. What do I write on a resume? I have nothing. Get advice. Don't put homemaking years on a resume. Put homemaking years on a resume. Have qualifiers. You have to have numbers. So Regan, I wrote the numbers down. I wrote responsibilities. I think instilling lifelong learning skills and literary development. Those are the two things. And I put numbers. Oh, I was going to print out this resume for this because, but I didn't. And I put how many hours I spent reading from literature and comparing, finding irony and all this. And then it resulted in lifelong learners and who's pursued, 3 out of 4 children pursuing higher education at their own expense. I got all these data points out of it. So when you looking back, I was mourning, like, what do I have to show for all these years of being a stay-at-home mom since 1994? There's nothing to show for it. And then I'm having to plump up these numbers for a resume, which isn't going to really help. But then now that I've felt really inspired to pursue this other avenue that I'm creating for myself, and I'm just at the beginnings, I can see how these research skills and the creative skills and having to explain bigger concepts to small children has really been useful. And I think that Heavenly Father can use your experiences in ways he needs to use you. So
Yeah.
again, here I am, not having a plan, just doing what I thought I was supposed to do, staying home with these children because that's what I was told to do when I had children, was you stay home with your children. And I chose to stay home with children. I chose to take that advice. I chose to live on one income. Put all that aside, I end up with nothing to put on my resume. I'm like, what do I have to show? I don't think they helped my children feel very good when I said that out loud, by the way. And then I'm like trying to, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I can't qualify this. And then I'm like, oh, wait, now I'm having this path put before me and I can see clearly or a lot better how it's all coming together. And I think that will happen for other people. I don't think that's unique for me. I don't think it's unique for you, Regan. I mean, my experience is also replicated in you. Don't you find the same thing with Mom of Eight, that it's come together?
Yes,
And do you
absolutely.
find God has a path for you and he uses these experiences for your good? The bad
Yeah.
and the good ones? Yeah.
And it is helpful to have that hindsight and look back and realize, oh, and in this situation, I honed this skill and now I'm using it
Mm-hmm.
here. And yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for all of your insights today. I do want to find out um, the joyful things. What if you only had a few moments to describe the joy of motherhood? What would you focus in on it as if you were trying to recruit someone who wants to be a mom? What would you share about joy in the small moments of motherhood?
Oh, I'm gonna cry. um, I really am gonna cry.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing.
um, just looking at their faces, having them run to you when they're excited and when they're sad, having them, like send you memes and they say, when I miss my mom, or when it feels like when my mom doesn't answer the phone, or knowing that you're pivotal to how they see Reagan. That's not fair. That you're their mother, that you're someone's beacon, that you created or adopted or fostered. I don't think it matters how you got them in your arms or what age you got them, that you're this person's light. You guide them and help them. And there's just little moments, sometimes days apart.
Yeah.
And when they just the feeling you get when you make eye contact, and when they're little teeny things and you sit them on your lap and you look them at the eye and you say, and you jabber back and you say, oh, tell me how your day is. Oh, they shouldn't have happened, when they get upset. And when they call you and they're all mad about somebody and you're like, oh yeah, that should have happened, I can't believe they did that to you. And you get them to talk to you, or when they hold you really tight and they can't let go because they need you. And yeah, just that person to them.
Yeah.
That's the biggest joy. Whatever decisions they make in life, and they're not going to make the decisions that you want them to make because they live their own lives.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. You have to accept that when you have that baby in your arms, you can have all the dreams you want for them. They're going to live their own lives.
Yeah.
And that's what you want for them. You want to teach them decision making skills. They may not make the decisions you want, but when they come to you still, that just is a wonderful feeling. That's the joy of motherhood, is you're their anchor. You're who they
Absolutely.
think of. You're going to be the one they call out to until they have a significant other, but they'll still think of you.
Right. Right.
You're still their mom. Yeah.
Well, I am so glad that you joined us today, tears and all. And I do want to give you another minute if there's anything you were hoping to express that hasn't had a chance to come out yet. Go ahead and take another minute to express that, and then we'll wrap up.
Well, I do praise Mom of Eight when I have a chance to praise Mom of Eight. I think it's a great organization. I think your mission is perfect and much needed because motherhood is, I know career seems kind of a funny word because you don't really move up. There's no hierarchy in it. You pretty much start the same. When I serve my children or talk to them, I'm trying to get them to feel the same way that they did when I held them close. I want to have them feel that same feeling when they're 30 or when they're newborn.
Yeah.
So career is a funny word for me, but motherhood is an ultimate to me. It's one of the things that I love being a woman is I could be a mom. And when I pursue this blog, the beatitudes.blog, I hope I'm putting as much love and safety in that and testifying of Christ and his message to us and how to live a Christ-like life. And this podcast I'm putting on, Know It, Live It, people who walk the talk. I talk to people who live by a passion or a message, like a mission, like Regan, who I'm going to invite to be on it. And people who actually do what they are passionate about and follow a mission in life. And that's going to be exciting to talk to other mothers who follow that passion of being a mom and value motherhood.
Wonderful.
So I love Mom of Eight and I love motherhood. And I hope that people who have the opportunity can value it and just keep going, keep plugging along. The days of diapers will end. The days of getting schools calling you that your child misbehaved again, they'll end. Kids learn and grow as their stages.
Right.
Fingerprints on your furniture, someday you're not going to want to wipe those off because their little hands grow big. It's
Yeah.
going to be okay. And ask for help if you need help.
Yes, I think of all of the messages of Mom of Eight, that's one of our top ones is let's not do this alone. Let's not call ourselves stay-at-home moms because that cuts us off from our coworkers, the fellow moms. We need to. So we embrace the word full-time mom
Mm-hmm.
and encourage moms to go find their coworkers and figure it out how to make it work so that you get help and it all balances out in the end. So.
And have mercy for yourself.
Yes, yes, and for other moms.
And for yourself, the mothers in your family and the mothers in your community, which is what my presentation at Mom of Eight conference will be. And thanks for making that announcement. I appreciate that invitation.
Awesome. Yes, we're excited. All right. And as I wrap this up, I do want to invite other mothers to come sign up to be on our podcast. We really enjoy getting everybody's stories out there, and every story is valid. And we are unique, and yet there's a lot that we share between us that we can benefit from as we hear each other's stories. And I'm just really thankful that you took time today, Laura, to be with us and to share your story too. And your perspectives are so valuable. Thank you.
But thank you very much, Regan, for having me.